top focus right now is news that has come in from Pakistan. Amir Sarfaraz Tamba, who was accused in the murder of Sarabjit Singh in Pakistan and a close associate of terror outfit Lashkar-e-Taiba founder Hafiz Saeed, was shot dead by unidentified assailants in Lahore. According to reports, Amir Sarfaraz was attacked by unknown gunmen on a motorcycle in Islampura area. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition but declared brought dead. Let me go back in history though to understand who is this Amir Sarfaraz Tamba. In 1990, viewers, Sarabjit Singh was given the death sentence in Pakistan on allegations of spying and a bomb attack in Lahore and Faisalabad that claimed 14 lives. He was an Indian who was accused of spying in Pakistan. In 2013, he was killed inside the Kot Lakhpat jail in Pakistan after staying there for 23 years, after being tortured for 23 years. So what happened in those 23 years? Let's remind ourselves. In 1991, a Pakistani court found Sarabjit Singh guilty of terrorism and sentenced him to death under the Pakistan Army Act. A higher court later upheld the decision. Subsequently, his appeals for mercy were rejected by the Supreme Court. In 2012, Sarabjit Singh once again petitioned to the Pakistan president at that time, Asif Ali Zardari, for mercy. This time, his death sentence was in fact commuted to life imprisonment. Pakistan, in fact, said that Sarabjit Singh could be released as a part of a prisoner exchange with India. But a different man was released in his place, raising the Indian government's problems. A year later, in 2013, Sarabjit Singh was attacked by a group of Pakistani prisoners with bricks, sharp metal sheets and iron rods and then left in a coma. Several demands were made by the Indian government to move him to India for treatment or to a third country. They were all rejected by Pakistan. Sarabjit Singh died in Lahore on the 1st of May. The case that was filed against Amir Sarfaraz and others for attacking Sarabjit Singh in jail, nothing happened of that. Sarfaraz was in fact acquitted by the Pakistani court in 2018, which cited lack of evidence. Today, one of the men who murdered Sarabjit Singh in Pakistan has been shot dead. But is this justice? I've been joined on the broadcast by Swapandeep Kaur, Sarabjit Singh's daughter. Swapandeep ji, let me begin the conversation with you. मैम, आपसे बस पहले तो ये समझना चाहेंगे कि आपके जो पिता के हत्यारे हैं उन्हें गोली मार दी गई है पाकिस्तान में, आपको कैसा महसूस हो रहा है?
बिल्कुल, मुझे एकदम से ये शॉक लगा कि ये सुन के, क्योंकि हम चाहते नहीं थे कि ऐसे जस्टिस हमें मिले। हम चाहते थे कि इसका प्रॉपर इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे, इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट में इस मुद्दे को उठाया जाए और मेरे पिता के जो भी गुनाहगार हैं, जिन्होंने उनको इतना ब्रूटली अटैक करके उनको ऐसी प्रिजन में जहाँ के वो सॉलिटरी कन्फाइनमेंट में थे और इसके साथ ही एक हाई सिक्योरिटी जेल में थे, वो वहाँ पर उनको इन्होंने मर्डर किया। और इसका इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे पाकिस्तान का जो है चेहरा बेनकाब होना चाहिए था, ये हम चाहते थे। इन्होंने इसको मार के एक पर्दा इस पे डाल दिया कि कोई भी बात कभी भी बाहर ना आ सके।
स्वपनदीप जी, आपने काफ़ी बार एक चिट्ठी पढ़ी है लोगों के सामने जो आप कहती हैं आपके पिता की आपके साथ लास्ट लेटर थी टू द फैमिली। उसमें आपके पिता ने फैमिली को क्या बताया था कि उनके साथ क्या होता था पाकिस्तानी जेल्स में?
जो जिस चिट्ठी के बारे में मैं बात कर रही हूँ, 2012 में हमारे जो वकील साहब थे, जो कि अब इस दुनिया में नहीं रहे हैं, अवैस शेख, वो बाय हैंड वहाँ से जेल से लेके आए थे मेरे पापा से। उसमें उन्होंने ये चीज़ लिखी थी कि यहाँ दवाइयाँ मुझे एक्सपायर्ड दी जा रही हैं और कुछ समय से मुझे खाने में स्लो पॉइजन दिया जा रहा है, जिससे मेरी एक साइड जो बॉडी की है वो मुझे ऐसे लगता है उसमें जान ही नहीं है और लातों में बहुत ज़्यादा पेन हो रही है। और किसी भी तरह का कोई मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट नहीं ये प्रोवाइड कर रहे। और इसके अलावा वहाँ के जो जेल सुपरडेंट थे उस टाइम पे, वो भी उन्होंने, पापा ने लिखा था उस चिट्ठी में कि वो पापा को कहता था कि मैं, तेरी तो हड्डियां भी यहाँ से वापस नहीं जाएंगी, तुझे इस तरह से हम यहाँ से मारेंगे कि तुझे पता नहीं चलेगा, जो तेरे लिए इतनी कंपेन चल रही है इसका कोई भी रिजल्ट हम सामने नहीं आने देंगे। इस तरह से बहुत सारा उनको इतने 23 सालों तक इतना टॉर्चर किया जाता रहा है कि जो ये चीजें वो पहले भी लिखते रहे हैं, बट ये स्लो पॉइजन वाली बात और सुपरडेंट ने ये चीज बोली, ये बहुत बड़ी बात थी। ये 2012 में इन्होंने हमें बताई थी, पापा ने।
तो स्वपनदीप जी, स्ट्रेंथ कहाँ से मिलती है फैमिली को? ये इतना लंबा दौरा चल गया है और आपके पिता ऑफ कोर्स नहीं रहे, बहुत ही ब्रूटल सिचुएशन में उन्हें मारा गया, पर फैमिली को आज स्ट्रेंथ कहाँ से मिलती है कि वो आके लोगों से बात कर पाए और एक्चुअली स्टोरी बता पाए?
स्ट्रेंथ आप यही कह सकते हो कि जब एक ऐसे इंसान के साथ ऐसा रिश्ता हो, जैसे कि मेरे वो पिता थे और मेरे बुआ जी के वो भाई थे, तो उसी रिश्तों में से ही हमें ये स्ट्रेंथ मिलती है कि हम उनके लिए खड़े हों और सबको ये बताएं कि उनके साथ क्या हुआ था, कैसे उनको एक गलत केस में फंसाया गया, कैसे उनको 23 साल एक ऐसे क्राइम के लिए उनको जेल में वहां रखा कि जो उन्होंने किया ही नहीं था, जिसका आसपास से कोई नाता ही नहीं था उनका।
और स्वप्नदीप जी, आपको आपके परिवार वालों ने बताया होगा कि किस सर्कमस्टांसेस के अंदर वो पाकिस्तान गए थे और कैसे उन्हें पकड़ा गया? अगर आप हमें थोड़ा और हमारे दर्शकों को बता सकें।
जी जरूर। मेरे पापा 1990 में 28 अगस्त को खेती करते हुए हमारे पास ही 5-6 किलोमीटर दूर खालड़ा नाम की एक जगह है, वहां पर पाकिस्तान का बॉर्डर पड़ता है, उसी जगह पे वो खेती करके अपने एक दोस्त थे उनके, मनजिंदर सिंह, उनके साथ वहीं पर ही वो सो गए थे। अचानक उनको ध्यान आया कि घर पे मैंने बताया नहीं है। थोड़ी देर बाद वो उठे और अपने दोस्त को बोला कि मैं घर जा रहा हूँ, तो उन्होंने भी इतना ध्यान नहीं दिया। वो थोड़ा सा उठ के गलत दिशा में चले गए और थोड़ी ही दूर अभी गए ही हैं कि वहां के पाकिस्तान के रेंजर्स ने उनको गिरफ्तार कर लिया। उसके बाद हम लोग, मेरे दादाजी, मेरे मम्मा और मेरे बुआ जी, उनको काफी दिनों तक ढूंढते रहे। उनकी एक गुमशुदगी की रिपोर्ट भी लिखवाई गई, लेकिन 9 महीने तक उनका कोई भी अता पता नहीं चला। 91 में उनकी एक लेटर आई वहां से, जिसमें उन्होंने ये लिखा था कि मैं से गलती से आ गया था यहाँ पर, इन्होंने मुझे पकड़ के, एक मनजीत सिंह नाम का कोई इंसान है जिसने बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट किए थे अप्रैल में, जो कि अगस्त से 2-3 महीने पहले की बात थी। और उसके सारे जो केस है वो मेरे ऊपर डाल दिए उन्होंने, ये बोल के कि ये रॉ का एजेंट है, यहाँ जासूसी करने आया था और इसने दहशतगर्दी का यहाँ पर किया है। फिर उसके बाद पापा ने ये भी लिखा कि मुझे पूरा यकीन है कि क्योंकि मैं तो सरबजीत सिंह हूँ, मैंने उनको बताया है, तो मैं जल्दी ही छूट के वापस आ जाऊंगा। बट थोड़े दिनों के बाद मेरे फैमिली ने टीवी में देखा, न्यूज़ आ रही थी कि पापा का नाम मनजीत सिंह बता के वो लिख रहे थे उसमें कि उनको जो है वहाँ की एक कोर्ट ने, जो टेररिस्ट ट्रायल कोर्ट है कुछ वहां पर, उन्होंने वहां पर उनको फांसी की सजा सुना दी है। फिर उसके बाद हाई कोर्ट में और सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, फिर उसके बाद हमने प्रेसिडेंट के पास भी अपील्स करी हैं, बहुत सारी अपील्स हुई हैं, जिसमें कभी भी पापा की जो साइड थी वो वहां पर रखी ही नहीं गई। इनफैक्ट वहां पर एक, जो इन्होंने गवाह बनाए थे उसमें से एक गवाह था जो जिसने ये मीडिया के सामने भी आके बोला 2005 में कि मुझे इन्होंने ये बोला था पुलिस ने कि तुमने ये बोलना है कि मैंने इस आदमी को वहां पर बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट करते हुए देखा है, वहां पर मैंने बॉम्ब प्लांट करते हुए देखा है। मगर 2005 में उसने बताया कि मैं बहुत छोटा सा बच्चा था उस टाइम पे, मैं इनके प्रेशर में आके मैंने ऐसी गवाही कोर्ट में दे दी थी, जबकि मैंने इसको देखा भी नहीं था। तो ऐसी बहुत सारी चीजें थी जो कि बेबुनियाद इन्होंने बना के वहां पर पेश की, और ऐसे ही बिना किसी भी बात के इतनी दूर तक केस चलता रहा। और आखिरकार नतीजा ये हुआ कि जब इनको लगा कि हमारे हाथ में कुछ नहीं है और इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे दुनिया भर में हमारा जो चेहरा है वो बेनकाब होने वाला है, कि इन्होंने एक बेगुनाह इंसान को इतनी देर जेल में रख के इतने सारे तसीहे दिए हैं, इतना मेंटली और फिजिकली उनको परेशान किया है, तो उनको और कोई रास्ता नजर नहीं आया, तो गवर्नमेंट ने और उनके वहाँ की एजेंसियों ने कुछ आदमियों को वहां पर प्लांट करके जेल में ही एक हाई सिक्योरिटी प्रिजन में उनको मर्डर करवा दिया।
Swapandeep ji, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, and thank you for once again sharing the story. It's important कि हमारे दर्शकों को आपकी ज़ुबानी समझ आए कि exactly हुआ क्या था. मैं आप पे वापस आऊँगी in just a moment, but I also have with me Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, I just want to understand from you, ma'am. Whatever has happened in Pakistan today, this is a man that was very close to terrorist Hafiz Saeed, one of the main accused in the murder, in the brutal, in fact, murder of Sarabjit Singh in Pakistan's high security prison. Him being shot dead, what do you make of it, ma'am? Do you feel that this is justice or this is not how it ought to have played out?
Well, first of all, for such a man, I would call it an execution because he had brutally murdered an innocent Indian who has been, as we heard from his daughter, tortured mentally and physically for 23 long years in jail, and who was murdered because the ISI let in these people and encouraged the murder. Why the murder has taken place? There could be two schools of thought. One could be, as Swapandeep ji herself has said, which is that they want to silence this man who was executed forever, so that the real truth does not come out. The other could be that there is, as you know, gang warfare going on in Pakistan between different rival groups, and somebody could have decided, somebody who is opposed to Hafiz Saeed could have decided to have eliminated him. I am sure that what will come out of Pakistan eventually would be that India has had this man executed. I am sure that, as his daughter said, what we would have wanted is for the full truth to come out and for the man to be tried in an international court where the whole world can see how Pakistan planted a devious plot on an innocent man who had just crossed the border by mistake and tortured him and then finally murdered him. So I would actually say that it shows also, Devika, a breakdown of law and order in Pakistan, because this has happened in Lahore. It shows that there are rival gangs exacting revenge on each other. And it also shows the precarious state of the Pakistani deep state, because it means that the civilian government, which is weak, and the military, which is strong, between the two of them, are not being able to govern at all, because such things could not happen in a country which is under rule of law. It is not possible. Therefore, one has to conclude that a country which has nuclear weapons, a country that is a hotbed of terrorism, a country that has so many terrorists who are fighting each other, taking out targets in Pakistan and outside Pakistan, has reached a state of anarchy and chaos where rule of law no longer prevails. That is dangerous for Pakistan, that is dangerous for India, and that is dangerous for the world.
Thank you, ma'am. Major Gigi Dwivedi, bring you into the conversation as well. So I just want to understand your perspective on what is happening. Do you feel that somewhere it is a part of a larger plot? Now, this man, Amir Tamba, who was acquitted by the courts of Pakistan despite his involvement in the brutal murder of Sarabjit Singh, close associate of Hafiz Saeed. So clearly it's probably not the only hit job that he's performed for terrorist Hafiz Saeed. Do you feel that his murder now in Lahore indicates, as Bhaswati Mukherjee was also pointing out, the complete breakdown of law and order, and also the deep state of Pakistan, which is so intrinsically intertwined with terrorism?
Well, Devika, I think first and foremost, this whole episode of late Mr. Sarabjit Singh, I think is very ironic and tragic, because an innocent person was framed, tortured, murdered. I think there can't be a greater tragedy than this. And to that end, I think we share the grief of late Sarabjit's family, and his daughter is here. I think all that we can say is that great inhuman injustice was done to this departed soul. Having said that, I think such instances do not come as a surprise, because we are quite aware as to how Pakistan is being run. It's almost like a banana republic. There's no independent judiciary, the army is running the country, there's no political system. And it is a terrorist hub. It's the epicenter where terrorists are calling the shot. And the Ahmad Sharif Raj Tamba himself was closely associated with Hafiz Sayyid, the LAT, the founder of LAT. So all when you put the things together, I think two, three things stand out very clearly. First and foremost, Pakistan, there's no justice, there's no law, and there's no governance. Point number one. Secondly, it's very ironic that it had to be happened to one of our fellow citizens who innocently crossed over and then suffered this punishment for last about 20 years, ultimately was murdered. And third point is, while his killer they have met their end, but then this was not the way it should have been. He should have been, his killers should have been tried in the courts, and the truth should have come out. I think this is again a wrap up by the Pakistani establishment, by the dispensation, by silencing Ahmad Sarfraz so that the truth will never come out, and this will remain a mystery all the time. Devika.
Yes, Pathakrit, bringing you into the conversation as well. Pathakrit, I just want to understand from you, your perspective on really what has happened in Pakistan, and also the fact that this man, Amir Sarfaraz Tamba, who's been shot dead, was mainly known as one of the key accused in the murder of Sarabjit Singh. So, first, of course, the Pakistani state, as Sarabjit Singh's daughter was also pointing out, plants men in a high security prison to have Sarabjit Singh killed just a year after it's declared that he could possibly be released in a prison exchange. But so many years later, what do you think really put the target behind this Tamba?
Devika, first and foremost, karma has its own unique way of, taking revenge and doing justice. So I'm not surprised. And I think, first and foremost, for a long period of time, Pakistan has used the whole essence of plausible deniability to use non-state actors for all kind of nefarious activities, so that if anybody gets caught, they would say, we are not responsible for it, somebody else did it. So in the same way, this man was killed, this perpetrator, this Amir Sarfaraz Tamba has been killed, and others would say, well, we have nothing to do with it, somebody else did it. As Ambassador Mukherjee also mentioned, that they would come up and say that India is behind it. Let me tell you one thing. Even if, I don't think, first of all, India is involved in it. There are a lot of rivalry, and there are issues of hierarchy, there are issues of shutting down potential witnesses in Pakistan. So it may have been done by them, for sure. But even if there is an iota of truth somewhere, or apprehension that India has done it, I don't think anybody in India will be upset about it. Because it's all ideal to say that, ideally he should have been tried in the International Criminal Court or the International Court of Justice, whatever. But we know how the world works. I mean, for a long period of time, we have told the West that Pakistan is the hotbed of terrorism. Pakistan is doing everything. It is an incubation center. The West clearly knew it. In fact, the West actually funded, nurtured Pakistan to be what Pakistan is today. So all those years when India cried, they ignored it. Instead, they used Pakistan. They brought Pakistan into their fold as somebody fighting against terror. The hypocrisy of the West is such. So I don't think anybody would, should ideally have any expectation that whether it is an ICC or an ICJ or a United Nation or even anyone else, including the United States, would do anything to bring to justice anybody who has not killed an American or a European. If they have killed Indians, it doesn't matter to them. So ideally, if things have to be done, either they would be done by the, Almighty, as happened this case, or maybe the Indians will do it. In this case, I don't think Indians are responsible. I don't think anybody in India is responsible. It has happened because of their own, because of one factor. The non-state actors have become very powerful in Pakistan. So when you are very powerful, you are almost like an extension of the, an arm of the deep state of Pakistan, which is as powerful perhaps as the other wings. And there is a paucity of money today. So you cannot nurture the non-state actors that the way you did it in the past. So then, when there is a paucity of funds, there will be internal rivalry that would start in terms of who would be having the primacy in all of that. So, and I'm sure there are many of those who had the secrets. They were willing to perhaps share the secrets with others in return of some favor, in return of money, because money is an issue today in Pakistan. So non-state actors most of the time are like mercenaries. They might say that they're fighting for an ideology. They actually work for money. I think somewhere a potential possibility of this guy willing to spill the beans in return of money would have been a reason but that he had been bumped off. And I reiterate, if the Pakistan is alleged that there is an Indian involvement, or if some Guardian newspaper comes up with some kind of a thing like that, that they did last week, I don't think anybody in India would regret it. Because I think it's time, as the Prime Minister also said, ghuske marenge. I'm not saying it has been done in this case. We should stop expecting either the Pakistan or the West to give justice to those Indians who have been killed by Pakistan.
Right, absolutely.
And coming,
yes, coming exactly to that point, Ambassador Mukherjee, bring you back into the conversation, ma'am. As Pathakrit said, that because there is no justice in Pakistan and because of the fact that there is now a growing disinterest of the West also in Pakistan, which has always been the case, right? They only focus on certain countries when it is of interest to them. Because Pakistan really holds no real value for anyone anymore, there is a growing disinterest even of the United States of America to look into anything that Pakistanis have to do or the Pakistani state has to do. In these circumstances, do you feel that somewhere the position that India is taking today, where the Prime Minister, where the Defence Minister, they say that if required, we will enter your territory and we will eliminate terrorists, that's the only way forward?
That is the only way forward. Where India is unfortunately in such a hostile neighborhood, there is no other way than to go after the terrorist and kill him. That's what we've done. That is why I called the death of this man an execution, just like day before yesterday I said on your channel that the man who killed General Dyer, he executed him because he was the butcher who killed so many people in Jallianwala Bagh. So that is why I'm saying I don't want to get into a conversation on whether we had a hand in it or not, because the West is very duplicitous. They say that we are involved in extrajudicial killings.
Yes.
When they are the ones who started extrajudicial killings all the way from the Cold War onwards. They accuse us of going after Indians who are hostile and want to bring down Air India flights, who want to assassinate our Prime Minister. They give them shelter and then they accuse us of trying to organize their assassination. I don't call it assassination, I call it execution. So under those circumstances, as our Prime Minister, as our Defence Minister and as our government has rightly said, that in a situation where a terrorist is threatening India's sovereignty, we are going to go after him wherever he is and we are going to get him. That is our policy, that is what we will do. It is only when we have such a policy that it is called a policy of deterrence, because that will deter terrorists from carrying out attacks in India. Because if you remember that when 9/11 happened in Mumbai, the only guy we were able to catch, he stayed in a jail for I think almost 11 months. He was given biryani every day before he was executed. He was treated in a very fair and humane way, unlike the way that Sarabjit's daughter has described to us now, of the horrific conditions in which her father was kept and as an innocent man, whereas the person whom we had kept, he was guilty of murdering so many innocent Indians on 9/11, on that terrible day when Mumbai came under attack from terrorists. So I completely agree with the policy that we should go after them and kill them. But I am not going to advocate on national television that we should have a policy of extrajudicial killing, because if I say that, then tomorrow they'll say that a very senior diplomat on an Indian television channel is advocating extrajudicial killing. That means that is the policy of government of India.
Right,
It is not.
absolutely.
I'm not going to say that.
No, but Ambassador Mukherjee, when the US entered Pakistan to kill Osama bin Laden, did they call that an extrajudicial killing?
It was an extrajudicial execution.
Right.
Osama bin Laden deserved to die. I am not justifying, but there is no doubt that they went inside Pakistan's territory, a sovereign country, and got him. But for that, they said that they did the right thing. But for us, they will condemn us and say that we are taking law into our own hands. That is why I am saying that I am
Right.
not going to put India in a situation where what I am saying can be quoted against my country. That is why I am saying whoever executed him did a good thing. Whoever executed him, may the person who killed him understand that he's killed a serpent, a man who did not deserve to live. Who killed him? I don't know. Maybe they killed him because he could have sung like a bird. Maybe they killed him because he was becoming an embarrassment. Maybe they killed him because he was becoming a whistleblower. What? We will never find out. But
Yes.
yes, I agree with those who say that it would have been impossible to try him in a higher court, and therefore I would tell Sarabjit Singh's daughter that it was an execution of a terrorist who killed her father, and therefore he deserved to die.
Right.
Whether he deserved to die outside a prison or inside a prison,
Yes.
the point is he is dead. Justice was denied. Justice has been given. That's what I would say.
Okay, all right. I have last couple of minutes left. Major G.D. Dwivedi, I want to just understand from you, sir. Do we have to then keep in mind cases like Sarabjit Singh and like Ambassador Mukherjee also clarified that nobody here is saying that India had anything to do with the death of this Tamba, because he's been acquitted by Pakistan in 2018, and everybody knows the sort of situation there is in Pakistan, how so many terrorists are being gunned down, and there are so many rivalries that are coming up. This man was probably also a part of the same. However, do we have to keep in mind now cases like Sarabjit Singh to remind ourselves that a new policy of deterrence that India wishes to adopt is the only way forward as far as dealing with Pakistan in the future is concerned?
Well, Devika, first and foremost, I think we need to understand that terrorism being unleashed by Pakistan since last 40 years, and I have been in Punjab militancy in J&K, it is a proxy war. It's not a terrorism. And proxy war is fought in three dimensions. You fight within your country, you fight on the borders, and you fight where the terrorism is actually originating. And you go and eliminate wherever the terrorists are, because they are waging a proxy war against the country. And in proxy war, there are no geographic boundaries, let me tell you. The geographic boundaries are only in conventional wars. But in proxy war, there are no geographic boundaries, and you take on the enemy wherever it is. Secondly, the specific case of Mr. Sarabjit Singh, I think, as I already brought out, it's a tragic because it happens to be in Pakistan. In Pakistan, when their own prime ministers are rotting in jails, when their own hierarchy has no justice to be delivered, then where do you expect a common person of Indian origin to be given justice? I think it was a great tragedy. All I can say is that natural justice has been delivered, and we must accept it at that. But as far as India's involvement is concerned, I think we on the national channel are not in position to give any perspective. It has to be left to the viewers to make their own judgment. But in the end, I will say the proxy war has to be fought across as well as within inside. And in proxy war,
Right.
there are no geographic boundaries.
Absolutely. I thank all of our guests, especially Swapandeep Kaur, for joining us on this broadcast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.